Recently I have been reading a bunch of Moomin books because why not? And this time I read Moominland Midwinter. Moomin books were written by Finnish writer Tove Jansson, and she also illustrated them. A multi-talented lady. And this book appeared in 1957, and it is a Finnish children's book classic. And of course, being a Finn myself, I grew up reading the Moomin books and watching the 90s Moomin anime. And it is an interesting thing about the Moomin books. When you read them as a child, you just like the adventure, hanging out with the characters who are very interesting. And then when you read them as an adult, there's lots of psychology, there's philosophical themes. They make you think, they make you wonder about the world and the human nature. Yes, I do love this book. It's one of my favorites. We can see three main characters in the cover. We have the Moomin troll, we have Little Moo, and a Tuutikki. And this character is called Sorry O. I think that's the English name. It is surku in Finnish, but it kind of means the same thing in Finnish and in English when they translate the names. If someone is new to the Moomins, Moomins look like him. And Moomins are pretty smart. They don't stay up during the winter. They go to winter sleep like bears. They hibernate. They live in a beautiful wooden house that looks like a tower. It's blue with white window frames. They cover their furnitures, their sofas, their lamps. They eat pine needles. No one really explains why. And then they go to sleep. And they wake up around March, I think, when the first flowers start to bloom and Snufkin returns from the south. Snufkin is the Henry David Thoreau character of this book. A little fact. Snufkin is based on Tove Jansson's first real boyfriend, Aatos Virtanen, who was a philosopher back in the days. But moving on to the plot of this book, what happens is that Moomin Troll wakes up in the middle of the winter. His parents are sleeping, Snork Maiden is sleeping, everyone is sleeping in the house. And he goes outside and he sees snow for the first time in his life. He is both mesmerized by it and he's scared by it. This book and some other Moomin books like Moomin Papa and the Sea, it's about independence. Moomin Troll becoming more independent and growing as a character, growing as a person. It is a coming of age novel as well. But this is, I think, interesting because the coming of age storyline in this book, it is described through metaphor. The winter is a metaphor. His relationship with winter as a season changes when he becomes more quote-unquote independent. So Moomin Troll wakes up in the winter. He does not understand it. The first character who he meets is Tuutikki. She is a very grounded character. Moomin Troll feels very lonely. He's alone in this environment that he does not know. Everything is covered in snow. The sun is gone and it's dark. It's Finland, it's dark during the winter. But the day he meets Tuutikki, she has built a little snow lantern from snowballs. Moomin does not feel that alone anymore. Another character who is waking up is Little Moo. And Little Moo joins the two in this winter adventure. But Little Moo has always been an independent spirit. She borrows Moomin Mama's silver plate and turns it into a sleigh to herself and is enjoying the winter activities. And Moomin Troll, he tries to understand winter. He asks Tuutikki, what is the meaning of the snow? What is snow? What is winter? But Tuutikki does not give him direct answers. She's like, well, you need to find things out yourself. I don't understand snow either, but I embrace it. Moo also embraces the winter, but Moomin is very hesitant. He does not want to embrace the winter. He does not want to experience it. He feels hostile towards it. So even though Tuutikki is his friend, Moo is his friend, he feels like they don't get him. They do not get this existential crisis that is going on in his mind because he feels so isolated in this new environment. It is quiet, there's no fun. And when I was reading this book, I started to think about this sort of DNA of the Moomin characters, DNA of the Moomins, like the family of the Moomin Troll, why he feels so resistant against winter and when you read Moomin books, when you watch the anime and other adaptations of the Moomins, Moomins are really jolly folk. They're happy. They embrace life to the fullest. There's one comic from the 1960s which I think is brilliant. Like, it's about Filifjonk moving to their neighborhood. They organize a party for her and her children and they invite them. But because Filifjonk is Filifjonk, Filifjonk does not care to party, and the Filifjonk and her children leave, but Moomins are like, let's have a party anyway, and then they party all night long. That's what they do. They're a very tight-knit family, they're a tight-knit community. The spring is time of renewal, and Moomins start to embrace life again. They grow flowers, they start to go on these little adventures, and all these exciting things happen in nature. And then the summer comes and it's in full bloom. They have parties, like, if not every day, at least once a week, because they are Moomins. They have big tables outside. They invite neighbors and friends to eat with them. They make foods. They travel. They go to sailing. They swim. They climb a mountain. They have all these adventures. Then the autumn comes. Things start to quiet down a bit. Not too much. They have this enjoyment in the autumn nature. They embrace the environment, the trees, the changing colors in the woods. And slowly they fall down to the winter time and the rest, so that they can embrace the summer and the cycle again next year. I think that's what I realized this time when I was reading this book. No wonder he feels isolated in this new world that is nothing but snow and quietness, when he's used to this vibrant life around him, this summer, these seasonal changes, except the winter, when everything goes in full bloom and you enjoy life to the fullest with the people you love. So our poor Moomin troll is having an existential crisis because his family is asleep, and these two characters who are good friends of him, they don't just get it. They don't get this longing for the summer, longing for this wider community. Tutiki is used to winter. She has adapted. Moo embraces winter. It is part of her personality. She is excited about new things. Now Tutiki describes that there are these characters that only belong into winter. So this story has these invisible spirits that live in the woodlands. Here we can see them, or their shadows. One of these characters that Moomin meets is his own ancestor. And the ancestor looks like him, but he's smaller, he's hairy, he has a little tail, and he lives in the cupboard in there. And Tutiki has been living in the swimming house now during the winter. There's an oven in the swimming house. There Tutiki lives with these invisible spirits who only belong to winter. But Moomin Troll, he wants to get to know his ancestor. Maybe this would be a character who he could connect with. But the ancestor escapes from the cupboard and moves into the Moomin house. There's a beautiful image of him in the book. It is this one. I really love this one. I think it is a liner carving actually. You can see many of these originals in Tampere in the Moomin Museum. Look at that detail, and there we have the ancestor, and there we have the Moomin. So he is going to move behind the oven again, because the ancestors of the Moomins like to live behind the ovens. But the ancestor, he's not a very talkative type, and Moomin tries to connect with him, but it takes some time, it takes some work. What I said earlier about the Moomins and their certain DNA that is connected with, with summer and celebrating life to the fullest, they do remind me of hobbits a bit. In fact, in this book, I think that the character who he ends up connecting the most might be the ancestor. The ancestor, doesn't say much, but Moomin tries to talk to him when they are in the house. He sees that the ancestor builds a nest to himself. He turns the frames in the house, the paintings, he turns them upside down. He gathers some things together, builds a nest to himself essentially, and Moomin follows his example. He builds a little nest to the living room and he's sleeping there, and he feels less lonely when the ancestor lives there with him. In this book, and also in the Moomin Summer Madness, Tove Jansson includes a great deal of folklore from Finnish culture and from Scandinavia. So one of these things that the invisible spirits do, they build a great bonfire and they set it on fire during solstice to welcome back the sun. And Moomin, Little Moo and Tove, and they all go and watch it. The invisible spirits, they dance around the bonfire. They are drumming and hitting pans and dance and sing and shout, speak in strange language. They dance around the bonfire, welcoming back the sun. Now I do know that back in the days, in pre-Christian times, here in Finland, it was a custom, at least in some parts of the country, for people to go to the ice, go to the woods and welcome back the sun when the sun started to come back for the first time in winter solstice, later on December, January, February. Each day the sun was in the sky a little longer and people would have drums and pans. They would make lots of noise, welcome back the sun, because the sun was the bringer of life. I do like that little section because it is a connection to the past. That is the interesting thing about this book. There's this connection with the ancestor and the connection with these old winter habits. Welcoming back the sun, and the Moomins, they love the sun, they love the summer, they love the vibrancy of life. And this is not that unusual here in Finland today because, during winter we light torches, we light candles, we like to have that light around us. It gets pretty dark, so of course we like to light the lights here. To welcome back the sun, it was also to ward off evil spirits. And that is also an interesting thing about this book because we have all these invisible spirits. Who are they and where they come from? The book never really explains that. It is Moominland Midwinter magic. Tove, Little Moo and Moomin, they come across the squirrel, which is a little silly and has a beautiful tail, and then Lady of the Cold is approaching. Lady of the Cold is Snow Queen. She's the manifestation of frost, manifestation of coldness. She arrives. Tove builds a beautiful snow horse for the Lady of the Cold so she can ride the horse and, ride to the sunset to somewhere even more north than the Moominland. And there is the horse. It's a little creepy looking. When the invisible spirits, they light the midwinter bonfire, Croak comes and turns off the bonfire. He comes because he wants to feel warm, but because Croak is Croak and everything that she touches turns into cold and frost, he diminishes the fire. Now, there has been university level studies made here in Finland how Croak as a character scared people. I always felt really bad for her because she's lonely and she's like a embodiment of loneliness. I think I read that actually from Tove Jansson's biography many years ago, but don't quote me on that. Lady of the Cold was probably the character that scared me the most, especially in the 90s animation. She's not actually described at all in the book. It just described how she comes during this winter night. Our trio is there in the swimming house, just waiting for her to pass by. And look at that illustration. It looks like they are feeling such wave of coldness. Ooh. After Lady of the Cold has gone, they found the squirrel that had a beautiful tail, dead and frozen, and they buried this little squirrel. This hurts Moomin Troll even more, this cruelty of winter, that the winter and the coldness can take someone's life just like that. So it has a deep effect on him. But then we get to the second part of the book. People from different parts of the Moominland, they come and stay in the Moomin house. There is a rumor going on that there's a lot of jam in the Moomin house. And of course there is. And these are all just local creatures and little creatures, and they stay there. Coldness that the Lady of the Cold brought with her apparently destroyed at least some of the food supplies that people had. One of the characters who arrive is the activity Hemulen, and he loves the snow, he loves skiing and he loves skating, and He loves to swim in the cold water, and he tries to get everyone involved in these winter activities. He tries to teach Moomin Troll how to ski, but he was not meant for skiing. Little Moo becomes an excellent student in skating and skiing, but also this constant encouragement that he has for others to learn these winter activities and enjoy winter does not make him very popular. People in the house start to resent him. They just like to stay there and enjoy the warmth of the house and the delicious jam. So most of the time Moomin enjoys his activities alone or with Little Moo. Sorry-O, the dog, he has this longing to join wolves, who he calls his brothers. Moomin would like Sorry-O to join him when he's going to travel to different parts of Moominland to do more winter activities, but Sorry-O wants to join the wolves because wolves are his brothers. Everyone thinks that he's a little out of his mind because wolves can eat little dogs. Then there is a little character called Salome. There she is. She's not very happy. And there she is again. She really likes Moomin and she admires him. She would like to go with him to his adventures, but he never notices her. He is too busy with his winter activities. So a lot of this book is about connection, people trying to connect with one another. Moomin tries to connect with Moo, with Tiki, with his guest, with the ancestor. Salome tries to connect with Moomin. Sorry-O tries to connect with the wolves, but they are all rejected in some way or another. So what happens then is that Salome goes missing. Moomin comes and she finally gets to join him on his adventures. Surku goes to meet the wolves, but the wolves are aggressive, are ready to attack him and kill him. But then Moomin comes skiing and playing a trumpet, and the wolves run off, and Sorry-O joins him. So finally they do manage to find the connection. Moomin Troll, he looks after the guests in the house. He gives them shelter, he finds them blankets, he finds them jam from his mother's cellar, he gives them food, he looks after them. So he finds that even during this winter time, he has a purpose. He can look after people, he can look after this little strange community. There are some wintry scenes in this book that I just really like, and they really give you this feeling of winter wonderland. One of my favorite scenes is this description of Tiki ice fishing underneath the ice, the description of what it looks like underneath the ice, and how some of the guests also join her. There it is. I really like this illustration. It just shows you just the mood of that is amazing and all the details. It's like you see that she's in this isolation, but it doesn't look like she's lonely or sad. It's contentment of being in this winter wonderland. There's the darkness of the water and light coming from the top. The description of the weather, the coldness, the harshness of winter and the beauty of winter is in this book. It's on the class of its own. I love it. In the halfway of the book, something changes inside Moomin Troll. Winter does not feel hostile anymore. Winter feels like a friend. It's like a missing piece, and he starts to appreciate it a lot more. And this happens when he experiences his first snowfall. And we can see this enjoyment, the happiness in his look when the first snowfall arrives. We got the first snow of this year 4 days ago, and I looked outside, everything was covered in snow, and I was so happy. I'm 37 years old, and I still get excited when the first snow arrives. Now here in Finland, sometimes in Christmas it's nothing but rain and it's dark and it sucks. Snow is welcome because snow reflects the light, and it's much brighter when there is snow in the ground during the winter because it gets dark. And there is something magical in the snowfall, the way it comes from the sky, and it's beautiful. So the change of heart that he has are not really that much of a surprise. He experiences the beauty of snow, not the harshness, but the beauty, the magic of snowfall, the magic of winter. The winter is no longer an enemy. Winter is a friend. So this harsh season that he could not connect with, now he starts to understand it. He starts to see the value of winter, the meaning of winter, the beauty of winter. But then, of course, what happens is that he gets cold and his mother wakes up when he hears his child sneezing. It's actually quite adorable. And then slowly spring starts to come. But now Moomin Mama is awake and to Tiki Mood they show her everything that they have done. They tell them about the guest and what has happened. And she is also amazed because she has never seen snow either. Slowly spring arrives to the Moomin Valley. The family wakes up. Tuutiki cleans the swimming house, plans to move back next winter. By the end of the book, Moomin Troll has changed a little bit. He has grown as a person. He has become more independent. Mama does point out that, oh, it's good that you were awake because she would have been ashamed if she would not be able to look after all these guests during the winter time. So Moomin Troll has gained more beliefs of his own abilities. When I was a child, I think this image was my favorite in this book. It is the first winds from the south start to blow and he opens the doors and the curtains in the house and just let the wind blow through the rooms and clean everything. So it's almost like he gets rid of all that old negativity that he had about winter, about this quiet season, the darkness. And then in the end of the book, when the spring is slowly coming, the family is waking up. Flowers start to bloom. Moomin Troll sits in the dock and looks to the horizon and thinks that he is now the first, maybe after his ancestors, who has lived through all the 4 seasons. And he appreciates that. So what an amazing book to read. And I was actually quite surprised by the amount of notes that I was able to make based on this absolutely delightful story. Let me know in the comments which Moomin book is your favorite. And I will see you next time. Take care and make good choices. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy bookish content, do subscribe to my channel and set on the notifications. I do make lots of content about Little Woman and the Alcott sisters. I also speak about filmmakers who have lied about everything that there is to lie about Little Woman. I also speak about books that I enjoy reading. If you are interested solely in the Little Woman content, do join my free newsletter at littlewomanchannel.substack.com and get notified when new episodes of the Little Woman podcast appear. Take care and make good choices. Bye.